The evolution of your marketing will be the catalyst for the evolution of your business, and the evolution of your business will provide you with the freedom to focus on the evolution of your life. This is Evolved Marketing with Andre and Brian.
Welcome back to another episode of Evolve Marketing Podcast. I am here with my co-host, Brian Brewer, and today we have a very exciting guest. At some point in your business, whether you are a complete beginner or if you want to take your business to the next level, you will need a mentor to do that. I remember not getting a mentor from the beginning when I first started. Even though I was successful on my own, I knew I needed to invest in a mentor, someone that could answer my questions and guide me to the next level. Well, the person we are interviewing today has a great mentorship program that goes well in hand with his main offer. And I'm sure we will get all the details about it in a little. I have seen multiple of his students make their first high ticket commission after working with him. So I'm really excited to hear more about it. So without further ado, Sean Sarantos, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, welcome to the podcast, Sean. It's great to finally get to speak with you face to face via Zoom, of course, because I've been watching you for a little while now, and I know we've chatted a little bit, mostly on comments of other Facebook groups inside some of the groups that are associated with particular programs that we both promote as affiliates. But this is the first time chatting with you, and I'm super excited. Now, from my point of view, it looks like you came out of nowhere and just started crushing it. Now, that's probably not the same way that you remember it, because I'm sure there was moments before you became a successful affiliate marketer that maybe left you frustrated and a little overwhelmed. So maybe if we could just start there, Sean, and give us a little backstory about what happened before you got to where you are today.
Oh, man. Okay. So first off, thank you again for having me on. I really do appreciate it. Yeah, we have never spoken before besides comments, but I've always looked up to you, and especially Andre too. So this is an honor to be on the show. So thank you for having me. And man, I got into this with the absolute lowest of the lowest goals, right? When it came to money, my goal was very high when it came to why I was doing this. And that was just simply one weekend I didn't have to work, one weekend where I can at least see my kids. And that was pretty much it. I didn't really have a money goal. If anywhere, it was in between like $200 to $500 a month. But as long as I can make that, I was happy doing it, man. I did electrical line work for the past 4 years, and it was just a grueling job. And the hardest part of it was just, I just never got to see my family. So that's kind of what attracted me to this whole thing. Was I saw somebody pop up on my social media, which I just wasn't using for like the past 4 or 5 years too. And it just came to a point where I looked at it and said, you know what, I'm going to start using this for something other than Netflix. I'm going to see if I can't learn something and make it to where it can help me either see my kids or get me to a retirement sooner, so I can at least see my grandkids or something. You know what I mean? So the goals were always very, very meaningful to me. But if you would have told me that I would be where I'm at 10 months later, because I hit my 10-month mark on the 1st, if you would have told me where I'm at 10 months later, man, I was more than happy working until I was 65. You know what I mean? That was my mindset. I'll work until I'm 65. Just let me somewhat have a relationship with my wife and kids, and I kind of came in there just like everyone else with absolutely zero idea what the hell I was doing, and that's something that I see from a lot of students, a lot of people that come through programs early on. It's just like, what the hell am I doing? What the hell am I going to talk about? How am I going to talk about it? How can I do this without having any results? How can I do this without having any experience? And it's like, those are all the things that brought you on board, was being able to come in here, and be successful without results, without experience, without education. That was one of the reasons. So it's always funny that that's one of the reasons why they get on board. And then also one of the reasons why they are held back by themselves. It's so funny. But that was kind of my beginning experience. Was I literally would wake up 30 minutes early, go to sleep 30 minutes later, try to do what I could, study, create any kind of content, like just look at what other people are doing and just be like, I guess I'm just going to try that. I don't know what it is. I don't know why I'm doing it. It feels uncomfortable, but if I can get comfortable just recreating some stuff, let's try that out. And that was kind of like my early days with this, was just an hour every other day. And just, man, just
were you just
throwing,
kind of going, were you just going into a situation where you're kind of just jumping in, figured let's just start and kind of model what I see? I mean, was that kind of your first big plan?
That was kind of, yeah, that was a plan, because the way that things are done now are way different than how they were done when I started off. And I'm making it sound like I started off 10 years ago. It was 10 months ago. 10 months ago, the things, the tactics and the things that were strong are nowhere near what's going on today. So I can only imagine what happened when you started off, or Andre started off, how completely different it's changed. But yeah, back when I started off, I was just like, I don't know what to talk about. I'm just going to look at other people that are having success. And I would hate to say like I'm going to copy them, but it was more along the lines of, I'm going to try to recreate that video and just get comfortable with this. I don't have to know what I'm talking about. I just have to start creating content to get comfortable, and then I'll find my voice along the way. And for me, like I said, it wasn't a lot of time. So literally that was the best plan going forward. Was I don't have enough time right now for original content. So in the small amount of time that I have, I'm just going to recreate what I'm seeing and see if that makes sense to me, and see if I get a little bit more comfortable with this and everything like that. So I was literally just throwing shit at the wall and hoping it stuck. And the hardest part in the beginning was everyone going like, did your account get hacked? What is this? You know, like, this isn't, are you sure this is you? And blah, blah, blah.
And you're talking about social media profiles that you had already had, and now all of a sudden you're taking these profiles where you really hadn't done a whole lot, certainly as a producer or a creator. And now here you are creating constant content.
Exactly. Like, I came from a fitness background for over a decade. So everything was fitness. I had like 5,000 posts on fitness. So I spent like an entire day just archiving everything, right? Because I went from fitness and having a business to selling it all, going straight into blue collar work for the next 4 years, like shutting off. I had over 500,000 on Facebook, shut it down. Don't have it anymore. Can't even get it back if I wanted to, right? I got like 70,000 on YouTube. Don't use it. Shut it down. No one can even see my page anymore. Like, my Instagram like lost over 150,000 in the 4 years. And then as soon as I come back, I wipe it clean, and then I come back with something that's completely different. And not only do I come back, I don't even tell you that I changed. I'm just shoving it down your throat and being like, this is me now, you know?
So you basically changed the niche, right? You basically changed the niche in your whole account.
And the algorithm kicked me in the nuts. Like, they do not like that at all. Like, even to this day, I do not get views. Now, I will take that back, because the last few days I've been getting views, but it's nowhere near what I should be getting for the ratio that I have. And then two, like, I'm stepping so far out of my comfort zone with the content that I've been creating in the last few days, just to kind of push the envelope and see what works, that at least now I know, all right, like, if I want to try to get views, I can go down this route. But with that being said, in my opinion, views don't matter, because even though I'm getting a lot of views from the content lately, I'm not getting a lot of conversions. Where when I talk from the heart, when I talk about family, yeah, my views go down, but my conversions and my communication and my conversations skyrocket, because people love to talk about that stuff. They want to talk about that stuff. So it's just a matter of, like, I'm always testing stuff out. Always. Like, analytics is a huge thing. You know?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. And there's a couple of different notes that I wanted to make, because I want to cover some very interesting things that are going to help the listeners a lot. But really quickly, if I could, I want to kind of unpack the backstory just a little bit more. And then I'm going to show you a picture that I found just to provide some context and anybody watching on YouTube here as well. So you jumped in, and if I can get this correctly, you started, coming from the line work and saying, okay, I'm going to do this affiliate marketing thing that I'm seeing all over social media. And you did that. And, 10 months later, you've seen a fair amount of success. I think most people would be extremely happy, if not over the moon, about the success you've seen in 10 months since starting affiliate marketing. You did say you had that background in the fitness space online. If anything, I would think that maybe that helped you with the confidence to move forward. Is that fair?
It is definitely fair to say it wasn't, but with that big window of time in between, confidence back then was I was in shape. I was always going to things. I was always on video in some way, shape, or form, nonstop. Like that was my life. And then in the past 4 years, my mental health went down, my physical health went down. I was not the same person that I was. And on top of that, too, I was talking about something that I had no idea really about. I was still kind of a novice in it. So for me to come back, it's one thing to be like, it was a good thing to be able to look back and say, I've done something like this before. I know I can get on camera. It was a completely different thing to be like, man, it's like learning how to ride the bike all over again. I know I can do it. I just have to find my voice again. And if anything, I used it to carry me through things, right? Always being able to dig back in that bag and say, yeah, I've done stuff like this before, in the sense of I've spoken before. I've been on camera before. I know I can do it. So why am I not?
So it kind of helped you through through the hard times, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and throw this up, and then I'm going to turn it back over to Andre. But can you see this, Sean?
Okay. Yes. I just talked to my wife about this yesterday.
So I'll read this for anyone who's not watching on YouTube, and then I'll let you kind of explain it. But to me, what this looks like, and correct me if I'm wrong, is a message that's on a whiteboard. And it's dated February 26, 2022. And I know that because it says, to my wife, 6 months from today, February 26, 2022, I will be making 5-figure passive income. And I think you hit that goal. Is that true?
I hit it in my second month.
Okay. So unpack that whole story for us a little bit.
So that was when I was I had made the decision to go all in. Like I did my research, I went through the training. I was like, you know what? And this is something that I do talk to people about, but this is me. It's my mindset where I have and it's a good thing and it's a bad thing. And I don't know about you guys, but I have a burn the boats mentality. And I absolutely hate it. I do, especially now that I have a family. When it was just me, burn the boats. I'll go homeless, right? Mm-hmm. But now it's how I thrive. So with that, at that time that I did that whiteboard, I had done my research and I was like, burn the boats. I'm buying everything. Not because, they got me, I'm suckered. No, it was a burn the boats kind of like, I'm buying everything because if I do not succeed at this, the only reason I didn't succeed is because of me. It's not being able to me saying I didn't get that book or that training or that mentorship or that mastermind or that. I needed to make sure that I had nothing left other than to say, you know what? Your success was on you and your failure was on you. So at that point that I wrote that, I had literally just said, I'm all in on everything. Right. And I wrote that to my wife and she had no idea what I was talking about because that was my money, my debt. Right. And I was like, I put it on my credit card. And I wrote that to her. It was a whiteboard on her fridge and she saw it and she was like, what is this about? I'm like, nothing. Like just 6 months from today, I'll be making that. You're welcome. Right. And she was just like, okay. And like 2 months later, I hit the 5-figure mark. And I was like, well, maybe it's just going to happen for that 1 month, And then I did it again. And then I did it again and again. And my first month is the only month, knock on wood, man. No, knock on everything, that I haven't hit a 5-figure. So I've done 9 months straight where I've hit 5 figures.
So when you say you went all in, did you quit your job right there and there? Or
okay.
How did that happen?
So that was an all in too, because I was a month into this. And then when I made a decent amount in my second month, a lot of unfortunate things happened to where my wife's father unfortunately passed away suddenly. And I had to take an entire month off. So I used all my sick leave, all my vacation time, everything. And it allowed me to be there for my wife, but it also allowed me to put an hour every day, not every other day, every day into this. So then when I put an hour every day into this, I doubled what I made the previous month. So I had to start thinking and being like, well, dang it, like do I need to start giving this some serious thought, or do I need to just go? Because I went from the fitness world to the blue collar world thinking that was the safe route. I want a family. I need stability. Stability means a paycheck, just like in the military, a paycheck on the first and 15th, right? Like, is that the safest route for my family? And I thought it was. And that route ended up being the thing that was killing my family, right? So at this point, it was so much was going on in my head where I was like, I can't give everything to both, because I was in an apprenticeship at the time too. And an apprenticeship means like you're all in. You got to take every phone call, every single thing. So at this moment, in that second month, was I had 2 weeks left and I was going to go back to work, and I was talking to my supervisors and they were like, oh, you know, when you coming back, this and that. I'm like, well, you know, my wife's father just passed away and we got the kids, and I'll come back in 2 weeks, you know, and then we'll go from there. And be like, well, we need you sooner. And I'm like, I got my time. Like, I already put my work in. And I was like, I got to think of my family. And somebody in the background, they had me on speaker. Someone in the background was like, fuck his family. Like, I don't know if they thought that I wouldn't hear that or whatever, but as soon as I heard that, I was like, all right, not coming back in. Like, here are my 2 weeks. I got 2 weeks left. There are my 2 weeks. Have a good day. I'll come back and pick up my tools. So I literally did that, went to go get my tools. They went to talk me outside, and I was like, fuck you guys. You know?
Right.
Like,
and you were out.
That's what you guys said to me. Yeah. And I was just like, don't need shit from you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you said how you feel about it, you know? And I walked out, and that was another, burn the boats. Now, I could have easily just been like, I don't know, guys, like, I don't have a good feeling, you know, and kept good stuff. But I was like, no, I'm all in. Fuck you guys. Like, I'm burning these bridges. And I was like, damn it. Now I have to go all in. Right. And sometimes I don't think about that, unfortunately. But in that moment, that was like, family is always everything. And if you just literally said, fuck your family, then I cannot be a part of this. Cannot. Absolutely cannot. So as soon as that happened, it made everything clear. So second month, quit my job.
Yeah. That's interesting that you say that, because when you're working a corporate area, you know, they don't really care about you, honestly. You know, they care about what you bring to the table, basically.
They say they care about you.
Right. They say they care about you. That way they can hold you longer, right? But at the end of the day, it's like they're not looking out for you, right? They're not giving you raises because you do a good job. I mean, you have to work for those raises, and you have to suck, you know, like whatever, you know, you have to like kiss ass to get to that point. So that's, I don't know, that's super interesting that you say that, because that's where they get you, basically. They give you money, and then they're like, okay, well, you're a slave basically to them, right?
Yep.
Now, earlier in the interview, you mentioned that you were recreating videos that other people were doing at the same time, right? And that's super cool that you say that, because honestly, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? When you're creating content, you can just copy some other person's videos and then make it on your own, and then you go from there. And then eventually you are going to go with an own evolution of your own marketing, basically, right? So from the videos that you were making in the beginning to the videos that you're making now, what kind of evolution do you had to do in order for you to share your story?
So and this is something I talk about. And you guys know it too. It's a natural evolution. The thing that I hate is people recreating content that's not honest. So if you're going to create content and saying, oh, leave the 9 to 5, I left my 9 to 5, and you're just recreating it because someone else recreated it and they got a lot of traction, and you didn't leave your 9 to 5, don't create that. If you're saying that you can make 5 figures and you haven't done that, don't make it. So I'm always a big believer in stay in your lane when it comes to that specific point of evolution. If I have no commissions, no results, I'm still working my job, then all the content that I should be creating, right? And this is something that I learned early on. I stopped recreating people's content specifically for that reason and started just staying in my own lane. I was bringing awareness to the education, right? Not talking about what it was giving me money-wise, but what I was learning and what I didn't know about in the digital world. So when I started recreating content, I was like, hey guys, did you know that there's companies that exist? Did you know that there's skills that don't require educate or for your college? Did you know you can make this amount doing 1 to 2 hours a day? Like, rather than saying like right then and there, it was always, hey, I bet you didn't know, or I didn't know this, and look what I found out. Now, from bringing awareness, you're going to gradually, that's always giving value. That is value.
So you start off and it's kind of almost like you're becoming the reporter about this new opportunity. You're the one who's going in first, identifying, wading through the information and misinformation and bringing it back and reporting it to your demographic, right?
Pretty much. And I always try to use it in a different way. Like I always try to bring it back to my fitness days and being like, it's as if I just purchased a training program for the first time and I'm learning all these new exercises and I think they're great. I'm having great results from it, or I'm thinking I never knew anything about that. And then I go to my friends and go like, hey, did you know that this does this? Did you know that this will help out with your back? Did you know that this will help out with your posture? That's it. I don't have to train them. I just have to simply say, I went through this. My back is doing great. Like, did you know that this? So that's the digital education. Did you know that this software exists? Like, you're getting killed with emails. Why don't you have an autoresponder? What's an autoresponder? Like, that was it. All these light bulbs are going off my head. And I was simply saying, I don't need to say it's all amazing, just like supplements, right? I don't need to take every supplement. I just need to know that protein's great, creatine's great. So that software is great. Oh, wow, that tactic is great. And then I have to find people and just say, like, I wish I knew this. When I did my business, I wish I knew that. That's what burnt me out, having to deal with that. I wish I would have had that. And the fact that I can say it from experience, people are going to look into it. And if they look into it, it will naturally go down to where they're going to find more interest in it. And hopefully they want to prosper from it. Then you get your first commission. Well, guess what? You unlock the next door for content. Now you can talk about a commission, how that felt. You know what I mean? How long it took. What struggles you had to go through to get that first commission. Then you get your first high ticket commission. Wow, you just unlocked another portion of content, right? Oh, then you don't have to work a weekend, another portion of content. Then you get time with your family, another portion of content. Then you quit your job, another portion of content. Then you make your first 10K, another naturally progress. But people keep on jumping in the beginner stages and jumping into the fifth stage and then bounce back to the second stage, and they never find their voice because it never is their voice. Stay in your pocket, find your voice there. So when you have those doors open, it will just naturally come. It will be a genuine response to your next level. And that's kind of what I had to back off and do after my first 2 weeks. I was just like, I don't feel like I'm finding my voice. I need to change this up just a bit. I need to give value where I'm not seeing it, or I need to do it in my way. So once I was able to find my voice, it was much easier to have a conversation when someone actually wanted to have one.
So when you were talking earlier, you gave me a bunch of different, I don't want to say buzzwords because that's not what they are, but like things that I wanted to notate. And find my voice is one thing that you said earlier in this interview that I not only wrote down, but put a big box around, because yes, I think that's what a lot of people who are new to this content creation game struggle with. Would it be fair in your mind to say that find my voice is similar to telling your authentic story, or can you maybe give me a different angle that better gives us an idea of what we as beginners have to do to find our voice, but then also make that produce results that we want in our business?
Well, I mean, I think find your voice means how are you going to stand out? So whenever I try to put it into an example, I say, look, if all three of us have an opt-in page and a book, what differentiates a person saying, well, I want to go with Brian more than I want to go with Sean or Andre? Like, why should they go with you? Why? Like, what are you going to do to make yourself stand out? And that's the whole thing. That's your voice, is saying, look, I'm going to stand out. I'm not going to do what everyone else is doing, but if I am doing what everyone else is doing, I'm going to make it very clear on why you should listen to me more. I don't need to tell you my story or my struggles. Everyone goes through struggles. And this is something that I tell people too, is like, struggles are cool. Don't tell me your whole story, because no one wants a pity party. Half the battle, and this is something that I talked about when I was at a mastermind in Florida, where I said half the battle, or sometimes the best content, is people just knowing that you're going through something and not giving up. Not that, oh geez, pine cones are falling down. Not that you're winning, It's simply that you're getting kicked and you're still fighting. That's it. That alone is something that is great content, because the person is going to look at you and say, I'm in a worse position, right? But they're not giving up. Or I'm in the same position, but I'm not, they're not giving up. Or they're in a worse position and they're not giving up. So why am I giving up? That's a voice. I feel it can get overcomplicated when people want to continuously tell their story and their struggle as if no one else is struggling, right? And that becomes, if anything, I think it becomes a problem when you make it all about you, right? Use your struggle. Everyone wants to know that. What are you doing? What did you find? How is it helping you? That's you finding your voice. How is it helping you? Not what did you come from? Where are you going?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you at right now? Where are you going? How did you use it? Right? If you can find that, that is finding your voice. And that can go for anything. How can you make a viral piece of content that is getting shared all over the place? Because this is just my opinion, but the only person that benefits from a viral piece of content is like the first and second, maybe third person. After that, it's almost a negative thing, because it's going to get oversaturated. And when the people see it again, they're going to be like, I've seen this 10 different ways by 10 different times from 10 different people saying the exact same thing. Now I'm tired of it. Give me that same piece of content with a little bit of change, a little bit of value, and it could still go viral. So,
yeah, absolutely. Because it differentiates you, but it still has the same ideas behind it, right? It's still the same
yes.
eventual outcome that eventually people want to get to, and the same benefits that come along with it. So if I could, then that's great stuff. Thank you so much for sharing that. But I want to talk about the next step that people will struggle with. So once they figure out, okay, cool, I can attract people, and there are maybe people reaching out and saying, hey, this is pretty cool. I want to learn more about it. Or maybe you're generating leads to your email or to your email list, if that's where you're going. What do you do next to take that interest and turn it into a conversion? Because you've already told us that views don't matter, which is, absolutely true, as long as is we're still hitting the ultimate goal of, hey, people eventually have to buy things if we ever want to make money.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So every single thing has a goal. And excuse me. And this is what I try and tell people to do. They are so focused, like, break it into steps. Piece of content is step number 1. Getting some sort of action from that content, regardless if it's a comment, a message, or a click on your opt-in page. That's an action. That's step number 2, right? Then the opt-in page is step number 3, the thank you page, step number 4, and then so on and so on. People all of a sudden have like step 5's goal trying to be done on step 1. And the best thing that you can do is simplify things. People get overwhelmed, and you simply have to take a step back and say, what step am I on? And what is the goal for that step? So if I say, well, look, they just reached out to me right now, I'm having a conversation with them. Man, I feel like I'm lost. Why? Well, my goal of the conversation is twofold. 1, I need to see if we are both even worth each other's time, or if this is just going to go in circles. You know what I mean? So that's step 1. Do I have a set of questions? Do I know exactly what I'm going to be asking that person? Because here's another golden rule that I have. Don't do anything unless you absolutely know what's about to happen. You need to start creating content. And when you start creating content and you have a call to action on that content that says, message me, you had better have it in your mind and prepare yourself for that content to go viral and for you to get 1,000 messages. That way, if it ever does, cool. You knew what was about to come. But the problem is people create content and then they get everything that they ask for, and then they're stuck. They shit their pants. And I'm like, what did you just got everything you wanted and you weren't prepared for it? And they're just like, well, no. I'm like, then why create something if you aren't prepared for the thing that you want to happen? So that is always key, is don't ask a question unless you already know the answers. Don't allow a question to be asked unless you know exactly what's going to be said, right? Or there's a reason for it. So a conversion for me is Most people are saying like, well, click the link in the bio, click the link, click the link, click the link. That's a conversion. No, a conversion is my goal is for the person to want to click the link, meaning like they should be begging me for the link by the time this conversation's done. Like, I just want to get to know you. I want to know about you. I want to know what your goals are. I want to know what your struggles are. I want to know why this is something that you need to do, not something that you want to do. Because there's a want and a need. If you want to do something, cool. You're opening yourself up to failure down the road, or just be like, yeah, it's not worth it. But if you tell me that you need to do something, you better understand what that word means. And that was something that I talked to my wife about on date night. Yesterday, we played this game, and it said, what was the best advice that you've ever gotten, and from who? And it was from my dad. And he said, anytime you make a decision in your life where it's a big decision, ask yourself, is this a want or is this a need? And you need to understand what that word means, right? So when I have people and I ask them questions and they say, look, I want this for my family. I want more time with my kids. I want this. Hey, wants are good, man. What do you need? Well, no, that's what I need. I'm like, do you? Because we better figure this out right now before we start, right? And if they say they need it, then I go like, all right, then we're about to have a real conversation right here, right now. And then that's it. Mm-hmm. After that, it's simply just saying, look, depending on what your needs are, if you need time with your kids, then what are you doing besides asking me questions that, what have you already done? And then when you find out the things that they've already done, it opens up to like, oh, I tried drop shipping. I tried this. I tried that. I got scammed with this. I paid too much money with that. It failed. Why do you think it failed? Well, it did this and it did that and this and that and that. So once again, even if somebody comes at you with all these questions, I don't care. Mine first. I need to determine where this conversation goes. So I'll acknowledge that you ask questions. Look, I get it. Those questions are good. All right. I'm going to get to those. I promise you I'll get to those. Let's answer a few of mine first, if that's all right. And then boom, I'll start asking the ones that I need to know in order to determine whether or not I feel like I can even help you. Because that's the problem, or at least that's one of the problems that I feel is happening, is that everyone is giving every single person the exact same kind of attention, right? Simply because they want everyone to come into the door. And it's just like, that's cool, but what if you don't have everyone fighting for it? What if only 10 people, what if there are 10 people that want to come into the club, but only 3 are allowed to come in? Do you know the questions that you want to ask in order to determine who comes into that club? You know what I mean? So that's the things that I need to realize when I'm talking about conversion. If I don't have a lot of follows or a lot of views, I need to make sure that every single conversation I have is quality. Every single question that I ask has a specific reason. So if I hit my goal, which is, are you worth my time? Am I worth your time? Cool. Here's what I found. Here were my struggles. Here's what I ended up finding that I think helped me. But don't worry about that right now. Here's what I learned from that. And that's what I want to share. That's not me. That's like me saying, well, I went to Harvard because I had struggles with crime and stuff like that. And I went to Harvard and I got a law degree. So you should go get a law degree. No, I had struggles with stuff. I went to Harvard. I ended up getting a degree. I became a lawyer. I don't want you to go become a lawyer. Here's what I ended up learning through my experience. And this is what I try and share with you. So if that's something that you want, is a better understanding of this, that's what I want to send you. That's it. If I can do that, that's a conversion. Because guess what? My book or wherever I send them has that goal to give them that valuable information. And if they find that valuable information valuable, then that goal of that information will say, if you found that valuable, guess how I learned this? From here. So if you found this valuable, why would you not want to go to the place that I learned it from? Mm-hmm. And if they do that and go check that out, they have their own goal. And it goes down and down and down, right? That's a conversion. It is me saying, hey, stop thinking 5 steps ahead and just focus on the goal is for you to read the next sentence. Yeah. And then that goal is for you to read the next sentence. It's not to read the paragraph and skip and go here. It's to, can this sentence make you interested enough to read the next sentence? and so on and so forth. So the thing that I like to use is, especially because I talk to a lot of women, right? And I say, pretend that I'm the best looking guy ever. And I go up to you in a bar and I say, what's up, babe? Give me your number. Probably not going to give me your number, right? Even though I'm the best looking guy you've ever seen. And typically you would, because of my approach, it turns you off. But let's say I'm the ugliest guy you've ever seen. Like, you would never give me the time of day. But then I go up to you and I say, I was going to do exactly like that guy. But I guarantee you by the end of this conversation, you're going to want to give me your number. Now, do you get the number? No. But I guarantee you, she's going to give you the next sentence. She's going to allow you to say something else because you have her interest. The goal wasn't to get the number. The goal was to just let you say one more sentence. And if I know what to say on that next sentence, I'll get you for another sentence. And before you know it, I'll get to that sentence right before you giving me your number. And the only goal of that sentence now is to get the number. But because I got all this before, you stuck around. You've learned stuff from me. I've learned stuff from you. You feel a hell of a lot better. Possibly giving me the thing that I would like. Simply because I had small goals. Small goals. I didn't just go straight to the thing I want. I made sure I hit little goals to give me the best chance at what I wanted. Does that make sense?
It's the same pattern that you see with copywriting. Like if you write copywriting, let's say you're going to create a video sales letter or a webinar. The first slide you create isn't to sell the $2,000 product. The slide that you create, slide number one, is to get people's interest so they watch the next slide. So they learn something. So they watch the next slide. So they're thinking, hey, maybe there's a potential to solve my problem here. And then so they watch the next slide so you can establish, you know, your authority or whatever, and so on and so forth. It's the exact same pattern. It's you got to take people through a journey, and you can't skip a process.
Not only can you not skip a process, don't even give them any idea of what's ahead sometimes. That is a big turnoff sometimes, where I look at somebody's opt-in page or I look at their whatever they're talking about, and you're already telling me what's about to happen down the road. Well, I got a free ebook and it's the most valuable thing and blah, blah, blah. But you write, hey, I have a free, amazing ebook giving you all the proven steps for this and that and blah, blah. Make sure you get it and definitely stick around for that $20, that $20 training that you might find interesting. Boom, I'm turned off. Yeah, great. Free ebook, but I already know there's something that costs money down the line. Like, yeah.
And then you're asking people,
this is going.
You're asking people to make a decision too early. And so the decision is always no at that point.
Exactly. And who knows, that $20 offer, even though it's still like cheap and valuable, that might be on step 4, right? Mm-hmm. And here's the even bigger one sometimes that I always tell people. When you're working with a company, can you run the credit card? And they say no. Can you take their money? No. Then why is it even a goal? You have something that's out of your control as a goal. Why? Right? On top of that too, even if you had control over the money, don't make money your goal, because no matter what, it's going to be very obvious that you're pushing me towards it, right? Like no matter what, even if it was 20 cents, no matter what I say, you're going to push me towards 20 cents. And it's going to be obvious the longer this conversation goes. So I always tell people, man, stop aiming for those goals, especially dollar amount goals, and just have a very specific goal. Hey, you want to talk? Cool. I just want to see if we're both worth each other's time. Mm-hmm. Right? Cool. We determined that we are. I just want to share what I found and that I actually created something from that. And that's what I want you to send. That's what I would like to send you. Don't even go towards the thing that I'm talking about. Go to the thing that I ended up creating because I went through this for you. Right? Hey, I went down that dark alleyway. I got stabbed 3 times and my wallet got stolen. But you know what? I took pictures and I know exactly where they're hiding. I just want to send you the map. I don't want you to go down the dark alleyway. I got a map for you.
Yeah.
That's it. I go through this stuff and I created it for you so you don't have to go through what I went through. You're welcome.
Yeah. So let's break it down a little bit. So you're creating the videos at first, right?
Yes.
And then you are having them take action in the video, correct? So
Yes, and
either
it's all dependent
engagement,
on the piece of
comment,
content too, right? Yeah, like you were just about to say. I'm sorry, I cut
right?
you off. Go ahead.
Engagement, comments, link in bio, or send me a message, right? You're using all of those. And then from
Yes.
there, you're having conversations with them before you even send in the link, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. Perfect. And then from there, do you have like a bonus package or like a free ebook, like a lead magnet that you give them before you even send them the link, or something to like
So
incentivize?
so a typical conversation, like if we've both determined we're worth each other's time and stuff like that, like I'll even tell them like I went through tons of training. You know what I mean? I'm not telling you that you have to go through that. And this is a very, very like broken down kind of way of saying it. But I would say something along the lines of I created a book that goes through certain things that I specialize in. That's the only thing that's the only reason I want you to have the book. At least I want you to have an idea of what's ahead or what could be taken or what could be done. So if you're going to move forward with this, you feel a hell of a lot more confident going forward. But the even bigger thing is if you're going to walk away from this, you feel a hell of a lot more confident walking away from this. Because the thing that makes me pull my hair out that I hate more than anything is people that walk away because they have no idea what this is. I don't. I am perfectly fine with 100 out of 100 people walking away from this because they know what this is, and they just say, digital marketing is not for me. Affiliate marketing is not for me. Cool, because you know what it is, right? But if you just go, I don't know, sounds too good to be true. That's dumb. Like, okay, like, sorry, you said everything I wanted to hear. I don't like that. Like,
yeah. Do you ever try to convince people?
Hell no. I don't need to convince anyone. And this is the thing too, is like even a person that has no results, right? And once again, it's well, I need to make money. I need to do this. I need to do that. You had better start realizing that you at least had better have this attitude where you don't need people's money. I don't need your money. I don't need it. Now, I definitely don't need it now. But back then it's just I didn't need it either. I had a good job. But even if you need the money, you had better start acting like you don't need the money. I'm trying to give you value. If you don't like that, that's on you. I've done everything that I can. Good luck to you. Have fun. On to the next one, right? Because that's one of the perks, right, that we continuously talk about in high ticket affiliate marketing is that it's not about the masses, it's about the one. All it takes is one person to trust you, one person to believe in what you're saying because it should be something that you believe in. It should be something that you trust. And all it takes is one person to change your entire life, to change your entire month. That's a great thing about high ticket affiliate marketing. One commission to change your entire month, right? So that's the way I do it. And I'm like, if this ain't for you and I've done everything that I can, good luck. Hell, sometimes I even tell people too, cool, I answered all your questions, this, that, and all the other. Well, I need to marinate on it. Okay, what's your plan B? To just do what I'm doing and to keep doing what you're doing right now that has allowed you to go out and try to find stuff. Got it. All right. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, exactly. You have no plan B. Your plan B is to keep doing what you're doing or wait for something to fall in your lap. And if something free falls in your lap, you give no value to it. So literally, you don't even want anything free to fall in your lap. You literally want money to slap you in the face. And that ain't going to happen. So it's either you give no value to some things for free, or you start realizing that there is value to things that cost money or at least cost an investment. And you need to make a determination to do your research to understand what's a good investment and what's not a good investment. Now, you can do things for free and you can succeed. Good luck to you. There are people that do that. And I'm never going to tell a person that you need to invest in something to succeed because that would be a lie. But I'll tell you what, you're going to be investing in a hell of a lot more time, more effort, more struggles, more frustration, doing something because you simply thought too good to be true on something else, right? So it's up to the affiliate marketer. I mean, some affiliate marketers like to do it. I feel like I need to go ahead and make sure that you understand the value of certain things. If I feel like I've done everything that I can to show you the value and you still don't want to pull the trigger on any of that stuff, good luck to you.
Good luck.
I have no hard feelings, man. You know what I mean? The only thing I do sometimes is I feel sad. That's it. I just feel sad sometimes. I'm never mad. I'm never angry. I'm just sad because I know what it did for me. And the hardest part of my entire affiliate marketing career was getting past that very first hump of just investing, just that little amount, right? Because that's the hardest part, because that's the only hurdle where you're just like, man, is there ground on the other side of this jump, or am I going to be falling down a cliff? Right? And for me, I had to realize and say, I'm willing for there to be a cliff, because I'm willing to fall 100 times out of 100 times because I'm trusting myself. I'm betting on me. And the moment that I don't bet on me is the moment that I have to come to the realization that I'm okay making someone else's dreams come true. And if I could do that, no regrets.
Yeah.
But I can't do that.
You've said all the right things about not caring about the money and or individuals' money, right? Not needing the money from a person you're having a conversation with. You talked about the conversations and getting to know them and asking the right questions at the right appropriate times. And you talked about all those things that all make you a tremendous marketer. But in the end, is it fair to say that the way you approach this business and your conversations and even some of your pre-framing content leading up to the final conversion, you kind of make the investment the one thing? Is that fair to say?
Now, what do you mean make the investment the one thing?
So you talk about the investment as the cliff, because what I'm getting at here is kind of the final stage of your conversion process before we shift gears, I think, and maybe talk about how you transfer this to other people through your mentorship program, which I want to get to before we run out of time. It's the point where you've given everything that people need to know for them to make an informed decision. How do we transition to the point where it's like, okay, now we're kind of done here. Your next step is to go buy the thing or not? Is that just constantly keeping the investment and the investment that you made in the forefront of your mind, or can you expand on that just a tiny bit? Because I think people struggle with that. How do we get them away from me and over to the thing that we're promoting?
Yeah. And that's the type of thing too. Well, we have to make it very clear also, the thing that we're promoting, is it the low ticket thing, right? Or is it that good chunk of money investment that type of thing? Because those are two completely different conversations. For me, I'll never ever push them towards the low ticket thing. I'll push them towards whatever free value lead magnet thing that I have. That's the only thing that I want them to worry about, because I know that will at least open their mind up enough to either feel comfortable about getting a low ticket thing to learn more, or to walk away. Now, if they get the low ticket thing, then now that's up to the company to get them down that road and show their value and make them trust. Harvard needs to get them in for an associate's degree, and now it's up to them to show the value of what a master's degree is, right? Now, if I do want to have that conversation, because you're an affiliate marketer, and one of the biggest things about being an affiliate marketer is gaining trust. So you better believe that if you gain trust, you're going to have people that come back to you and say, Sean, Brian, I went through this. I went through some of these programs. Man, now they're talking about this other stuff. And that's a lot. Yeah. Like, can I do this without it? Can I do this with it? Now, if you're going to have that conversation, once again, you better know how that conversation is going to go. And you better know why you're having that conversation. So when I talk to my students and I say, would you have that conversation? They go, hell yeah, I'd have that conversation. Why? They're like, well, I want to answer the questions. Okay, well, what's the goal of that conversation? What would you like to happen at the end? In the perfect world, what would you like to happen at the end of the conversation? 10 out of 10 times, what do you think they say? I want them to get the thing, right? Because yes, of course, it's a good thing and it'll make you a commission, right? Not me. For me, I make it very clear to the person at the very beginning of the conversation, hey, I'm having this talk because I just want one thing to be very clear. I don't care if you get any kind of advanced training or mentorship for anyone. And I sure as hell don't care if you walk away. I only care that if you were to do either one of those, you're confident. No different than the beginning. All I want you to do is be confident with whatever decision you make. If you're not confident going into wanting to get a master's degree, then you're going to doubt yourself. You're going to hear other people's opinions. You're going to continuously beat yourself down. And because you weren't 100% behind that decision, you're going to allow it to slow you down. If you're 100% behind that decision, you can use that to push forward. I knew what I was getting myself into. Fuck them. I knew I would tell myself this. Fuck it. You know, if you walk away and you're not 100%, regret, once again, doubt. Oh man, Brian became a millionaire. I wish I would have listened to him. Oh, my friend got into this and now they're having success. I regret not doing this. Okay, there you go. Now you're going to go walking around, putting your head down, regretting your decision. Walk away 100%, no regret. Congrats, Brian, you're a millionaire. Congrats, my friend. You know, I knew what I was walking away from, and I'm okay with that decision. That's it. If you can do either one of those with 100%, I've hit my goal.
Mm-hmm. So you're just trying to bring him to a decision is really your goal, to bring him to a decision that they are 100% confident in owning. Excellent.
Yes. So once I make that very clear, one, that breaks down a barrier. Because if they felt like, oh, this is all about money, now they know my goal isn't money. So they're going to be like, okay, I feel a lot better about this conversation. Why Sean takes this conversation. So once that barrier is broken down, now the conversation starts. Now, keep in mind, I know exactly how the conversation is going to go. I know every objection everyone always says. So I know what's about to happen. I just need to know I just need to hear it come from your mouth to know where I'm going to start. That's it. Yeah. Either I can start the conversation myself and say, hey, I know exactly what you're about to ask, right? And then I just start the path and be like, do you even need it to succeed, right? Or something like that. Or I just say, hit me with it. I know you have questions. I'm pretty sure I know what they are. Pour it on me. Give it to me, right? And then they just go with it. Do I need it to succeed? What would I talk about? You know? And it's just, when I talk to those persons and those objections come up, I need to make it very clear that when I start answering those objections, I get them to answer it. Meaning, I'm not going to fight your objection and be like, yeah, you got the money. You know, yeah, you know this is a good value. No, I need to have this conversation and I need to make it very clear to, you're going to say that. If you think it's good value, it's going to come from your mouth. Mm-hmm. If you're going to say that you have the money, it's going to come from your mouth, not mine. Because every single thing from this conversation is like buying a car. They're just going to try and throw out so many things in hopes that it meets their standards, and they don't want to hear anything that's going to fight back on the things that they don't. So if I say, hey, it's going to take work and effort and blah, blah, they're like, dang, I hate work. I hate effort, you know? But I have to tell them that stuff. So what comes out of their mouth is, I understand it's going to take hard work and effort. I'm all right with that. So down the line, when they say, oh man, I don't have the time. Well, yeah, you do. We already talked about this. You already said that earlier. You got the time. And then I always end it with, so what's the real reason? Because if they answer their own objections, as they should, right? We can always get to the real thing. What's the real reason why you don't want to do this? What's the real reason you're not moving forward? Because trust isn't built. You don't know if a person trusts you at all until a very specific point. This is what I talked about in Florida with all these other people too. They're like, well, I want to build trust. I want to build trust. I want them to trust me. You don't know if they trust you. You won't know if they trust you until they say this. Every single superficial objection can get pushed off to the side. But if I keep on saying, hey, no, you remember you said this. So what's the real reason? Once that checklist is gone and they can't go through anymore, this is how I know that they trust me. When they say, I don't believe in myself, or I'm scared, or like I've failed so many times. When they get rid of all the superficial stuff and now they're going internal, that's when I know, okay, now you trust me. Now we're past all the BS. We've put everything else off the table, and now you're getting real. And that's the moment I know you trust me, because you're willing to now have a conversation about this. Yeah. It's not to say that they didn't bring these things up early on. Everyone does. But when we push all those objections off the table, and now you're saying this conversation is literally going to go towards internal, that's trust. And that's on you to say, how do I want to take this? Like, where do I want to go with this conversation? That takes a lot of time, right? To get to that point and really understand the flow of that conversation. that is something that I teach my students down the line. That's an optional conversation if they want to learn that, right? Because that is a really, really tough conversation to have. And feel comfortable to where you understand the flow. I teach my students 3 conversations. Are they qualified? Can you convert them? Do you want to be the person that closes? That's an optional one because that's a huge, huge, huge role, right? It's a lot of pressure on you. Your commission is based off of you now, not based off of somebody from the company. If you know, so but if you can do these 2 conversations right here, I mean, you can, the world's your oyster if you can do all 3 conversations. You don't have to be a good affiliate marketer. I teach my students not to be an affiliate marketer. I teach my students to be great, great, great communicators. Because if you can be a great communicator, you can do whatever you want.
So is it safe to say that when you are having those conversations with people, your goal is to make them feel something?
My goal is to make them admit to themselves the reality of their situation. I don't have to talk them into anything. I literally have to break down their own barriers. So if they were to walk away, which is completely fine, but if they were to walk away after they just answered everything, yes, I have the money to invest. Yes, I understand that whatever this service thing is valuable. Yes, I want it. Yeah, like every single thing, there should be no reason that they just don't pull the trigger. If they still walk away, that's fine. But now they're walking away knowing, I just don't believe in myself. If you can walk away knowing that and admitting that to yourself, that's fine too. But when you break down all those layers and they come to that realization, man, I'm going to walk away not because this isn't good, valuable things. I'm not going to walk away because I can't do this. I'm walking away because, damn it, I don't believe in myself. 9 times out of 10, when they come to that point, they say, I refuse to tell myself that. I refuse not to believe in myself. That's it. Don't have to convince them of anything. I just have to show them that the real reason why they're about to walk away is simply because they don't believe in themselves. And when they come to that, look at that in the mirror, a majority of people are not willing to admit that to themselves when they actually see it for what it is. And that's why people persevere, and that's why people succeed, is because now that's the only reason that you're not going to succeed. I don't believe in myself. Fuck you. I believe in myself, and I'll show it. I have no other reason not to succeed other than my own beliefs.
Yeah, absolutely.
No convincing is needed. You don't have to convince a person out of anything. If you feel like you have to convince somebody, then man, you had better start looking at what you're trying to promote. I don't have to convince anyone.
You're just removing all those other things that they can blame, and then they have to, like you say, look internally. And at that point, they can't put the blame anywhere else other than on themselves, which they don't want to do. So they go forth and take action. And you have just taken us through your process, I think, in a way that makes what you do incredibly clear. You know, maybe a little bit complicated until you get used to it. Of course, you have obviously studied and perfected your art, your craft. So let's talk about your students and the people that you mentor now, because I know I see the same, or I see a lot of the same posts that your name comes up in, because we see each other on Facebook and we promote a lot of the same programs. And I know you're helping people get results. So maybe if you could, in a 2-part, because I know we're getting close to time here, how do you? Well, let's take a step back. Why might somebody want to come to you based on your experience? And then how do you help them get results?
So I don't have a program, right? And I only started doing mentorship maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago. In the beginning, I was helping everyone out for free. I absolutely loved it. I wanted everyone to succeed and thrive, right? The problem with that was, for instance, like 3 of my students got on some shows, right? All I did was say, congratulations. If you don't mind, when you go on the show, just let people know I'm more than happy to help them.
And to be clear, they were invited on these shows or these live streams because they had gotten the high ticket success that you helped them get.
Exactly. Right. And I literally was just like, hey, just let people know that I'm more than happy to help them. Keep in mind, I wasn't charging anything. Just tell people I'm more than happy to help, right?
Mm-hmm.
All three of them took credit, said that they were training people, blah, blah, blah. They created it. They used that as a way to make more money in another area. And I absolutely hated that. I absolutely hated it because one, they were not qualified to do that. So I knew for a fact that they were going to hurt people, right? They were going to take money from someone and not give them the quality, education. So when that happened, I was just like, all right, if I do this from here on out, not only can I not do it for free, unfortunately, like I have to have receipts, I have to have proof. So if anyone ever does anything, hey, I got a proof, I got a receipt. So from there on out, it was very, very pick and choose. Like, how am I going to do my mentorship? What am I going to base it around? And then, am I helping everyone? No, I can't. Like I do one phone call every other day, maybe. And I have a life and I want to help people as much as possible. Now, my mentorship is super simplistic. I do not overcomplicate things at all. I can help you from the very start, or I can help people that are super advanced, top tier affiliates, which as I've progressed with my mentorship, it has started becoming top tier affiliates, right? It wasn't always like that, but the top tier affiliates saw success from the beginners that were catching up to them. And now they're just like, oh crap. Like if you're helping those people out, what happens if I'm already kind of doing good? And the one thing that I've seen from everyone is just communication is lacking in some way, shape, or form. So my mentorship is all about communication. That is it. It's communication. Are you asking the right questions? Right? Because once again, do not ask something unless you know why you're asking. And half the battle that I have with people is I say, all right, someone reaches out to you and says, I want to know more. What do you tell them? Well, I tell them about affiliate marketing, and then I tell them about this, and I tell them about that, and then blah, 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 and this and that. And I'm like, oh, crap, holy crap. You straight to business, right? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, that's a turnoff. Like, even if the person wanted to get straight to business, I don't get straight to business because it's just not good. But on top of that too, that automatically tells me that it's regurgitated, right? The biggest thing is, one of the funniest things is I say, well, if I tell you, oh, what's affiliate marketing? What's this and what's that? And then you start answering these questions. The second question that I have is, hey, do you have something that answers those questions? And they go, yeah, I got a book. I'm like, wouldn't it be great if they I don't know, got the answers from your book and then you got an email? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so why are you answering questions that you worked very hard on? And they're like, well, yeah. And I'm like, but I don't know how to get them to the book. And I'm like, yeah, you just don't know how to have an actual conversation, right? So that's my mentorship is very, very clear. It's, hey, the answer is 4. This is how I simplify my mentorship. I will show you that the answer to all your questions is 4. And I will go ahead and hammer you with different equations that you've never seen before, right? So all you know is 2 plus 2 and 3 plus 1. Well, I'm going to say 5 minus 1. You're going to be like, I've never ever seen these before. What is that? I'm like, the answer is always 4. So how did we get 4? And then that's it. It's just, I make you a problem solver. So you should not ever feel like you're lost or that you can't figure out something. Right now, we're getting badgered and saturated with 1 or 2 equations. And once we only have those in our mind, we think that those are the only 2 that exist and that we can only work with. But once I start showing you that other equations exist and all it takes is for you to start thinking out of the box, then you don't need someone like me ever again. I don't have a program. I don't have a monthly subscription. I don't have any of that. You get me for 1 phone call. If I can't tell you what you need to do in 1 phone call, I'm not good. It is not a difficult thing. How many times are we going to tell people that affiliate marketing is very simple only to fucking overcomplicate it ourselves? So if I ask you a question, you can't answer it to me in less than a sentence, you need work, right? And even when I tell a person, hey, I'm about to ask you a question, answer it in less than a sentence, they will still go on. And I'm like, what did I just say? And they're just like, oh, I guess, yeah, I can't do it, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, If you can't do it, how do you expect to be able to teach it to someone else? How are you expecting to explain this to someone else when you just complicated it to yourself? So that's my mentorship in a nutshell, is simplification. Simplification, simplification, simplification. Because once again, like I said earlier, I don't mentor only affiliate marketers. My goal for November, with Legendary at least, was, man, I'm putting way too much emphasis on this scoreboard to where I was like, oh my God, I'm out of the top 3. What am I ever going to do? Like, I was in the top 5 of every category for like 7 months straight. And I would look at the scoreboard and be like, man, I'm getting out of the top 5. Uh-oh. Like, is it all over? In November, I told myself, what happens if Legendary just like goes belly up? Am I going to be able to make this money?
Right.
You know? So November, I told myself, I have 2 goals. Get off the board, like completely off the board, make just as much or very close to what I was making with Legendary, right? So that's what I did. I got off the board, and then I started reaching out. And I didn't reach out to other digital marketers. I reached out and said, do I actually have skills? Funnel building, email marketing, copywriting, and communication, lead generation, closing, all these skills. Can I put these in other areas? So I reached out to fitness trainers, apparel companies, real estate agents, CrossFit gyms. I reached out to all of them. And I said, hey, you guys have cold leads, emails, blah, blah, blah. Yep. Give me. I'll do it for free. Give me. You know? So I took them with the apparel companies. I reached out to buyers, you know, brick and mortars, fitness people. I reached out to clients that didn't know anything about certain training programs, real estate agents. I taught them how to close, right? Worked on their communication. CrossFit gyms, taught them how to do a funnel for their CrossFit gym stuff. So I went to each one and I started putting things into play. And sure enough, increase in leads, increase in revenue, increase in this, increase in that. And when that happened, I said, all right, bye. And I walked away. And they said, wait.
Right.
How did you do it? And I said, well, you have to pay me for that, right? So I made well over 40 grand that month alone, outside of Legendary, outside of all these other programs. So now when I came back in December, I said, all right, here's my new goal. Get back on the board in all 3 categories and still do what I'm doing. Cool. Now I know I have the skills to not only do whatever I want, I can teach those skills to anyone. So that's what I do with my mentorship and say, hey, you want to be a great affiliate marketer? Awesome. You don't need to. You can just be great. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't that be awesome? And they say, yes. And I go, okay, let's just do that then. And that's my mentorship, is I just make them really, really great at communication, because communication will never be a saturated market.
Right.
Like, it's all about learning the skills. As soon as you learn the skills, you can apply it to any type of business. You can help anybody that need help, basically.
And you can have a copy-paste conversation without ever making it seem like it's copy-paste. But if I copy-paste the same 3 questions to you, literally, I hope that you're reading them the way that I want them to be said. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Well, why don't just say them? Why can't I can tell my wife I love you 100 different ways with those same 3 words. Why can't I do that with the same questions, but just say them? Because I can go ahead and show you half the battle is, and I have screenshots every time. Wow, thanks for being personal. I didn't expect you to reach out like that. Wow, I love this touch. You know, you're actually reaching out. Wow, thanks for taking time out of your day. I can hear your kids in the background. I don't want to like bother you too much. I appreciate that. Just letting people know that I'm an actual fucking person, like, and my kids crying in the background, and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, like, I just want to let you know I do want to get to know more about you, you know, like, I don't want you to think I'm ignoring your questions. It's just my kids going crazy. You don't think they come back and be like, oh my God, no, take care of your kid. Right. Yeah, get back to me when you can, right? But if I were to do a copy paste or just not even do anything, they're gonna be like, hey, are you fucking ignoring me? Like, I sent you a message. You don't want, like, a little personal touch, just a little. That's why I can do, not say I'm nearly doing as much as Andre. That's why I've done a little bit over 300,000. That's why I can do that with 1,000 view video, 2,000 view video. Not because, it's because the conversations that come in are very, very good conversations, right? They're very good conversations. I make sure that the person that I'm talking to knows exactly what they're getting into if they choose to get into it. Mm-hmm. So if they move forward, I just sent a really good lead into that door, rather than just being like, everyone in. I go, no. Let's find out first. Like, you know what you're getting yourself into. So then if 20 people want in, but only 5 go in there, those are 5 people that know what's about to happen and what they're getting themselves into. I would rather send those 5 than 20. You know what I mean? And right. That's why I'm really good at what I do. And that's what I try and teach my students. And that's what I try and teach everyone. If you ever go on Legendary's page, I'll write novels sometimes, right? Half the battle is like, I don't hold anything to the chest. I don't hide anything. I can teach anyone how to do this. It doesn't mean you're going to succeed. Why? Because you don't know how to speak yet. You don't know how to ask those questions the right way to not seem like you want to get to know them for a specific reason other than you want to get to know me. Some people just go with those questions and be like, oh my God, that's not like, you're pushy. You know? What? Or better yet, why do you even want those questions answered? Oh, damn it. I didn't tell them why I even wanted to know these questions. You know what I mean? So it's not as easy as it seems, but if you get really, really, really good at the basic things, man, the whole world will unlock. We overcomplicate things. Basic communication is the key to everything you ever wanted.
Right. And you've just proven here today by sharing your processes and your journey and the evolution of how you started to where you've become today to prove that, hey, affiliate marketing is great. It's a business model, but the skills that you learn while you're doing it are the real key to the freedom that most people say that they want. So, I mean, I just couldn't be more thrilled with the conversation that we had today and the way that you took us through, hey, here's what I did in the beginning. Here's what I learned, and here's what I do now. And just gave us a real look at what it takes to be a great communicator with your leads and with the potential customers that you interact with. So I do really appreciate it. I think one thing we always like to do, Sean, is on this show is not just say thank you for your time and we appreciate it, because while that is true, you know, we do thank you for your time and we do genuinely appreciate it. We also like to prove it through our actions. So, Sean, is there anything that Andre or I can do for you that can help you out in any way, shape, or form? And if so, please let us know. We would be happy to do that.
Help me go viral, Andre, Brian. That's like the only thing that's never happened to me. No. You guys allowing me to be on the podcast and allowing me to have a voice and stuff like that. That is always more than I could ever ask for, is being able to talk about this. Because that's it. That's all I ever want to do, just talk about this. The reason I'm so adamant about this is simply because I know what it's done for me. I know what it's given me when it comes to time with my family. And man, I get emotional talking about it simply because I know where I was at and I know where I would be if I didn't have this. And it breaks my heart to know that. I literally was in bed with my kid yesterday and he's starting to talk and he just said hi dad, hi daddy. I fucking cried like a movie, single tear came down my face. And I'm like, God dang it, man. Like, I would have never been here for this. I wouldn't. It's raining right now. I would have been doing dead legs, digging, trying to find crap. And it hits me sometimes with those moments, you know, where I'm just like, I would not have been able to have that moment, that realization. And it's because of that, you know, and I made a post yesterday about, you know, being there with my dog when he passed away. And like, that's it, man. Money's money, dude. Money will always be there. But damn it, man. Like, those moments, I cannot say enough about those moments. And that is enough for me to continuously talk about this. I don't care if people shit on me all they want. Like, you can't tell me that being there with my dog or being there with my son or whatever wasn't worth the 10 stupid videos that you hate so much. Like, sorry, suck it, man. Like, I got that moment forever. So being able to talk to guys like you, and being able to just share it with other people, my hope is that at least one person watches this and then says, you know what, I'm going to give it a try. And then that person changes their life. Doesn't matter, man. If that happens, everything about this podcast is worth it, you know? So I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much, Sean. We appreciate you being here, and we wish you luck in the future, and we would love to have you back in the future as well.
I would love to be back as many times as you guys want me.